Okay, let's forget the dry textbooks for a minute. We're about to unpack the entire story of Britain, its incredible rise, its staggering peak, and its really complex search for a new identity. We're going to frame it as a kind of dramatic arc to see what its past can really tell us about its future.
And that leads to a massive question, right? Can a nation's history actually predict its future? It's a fascinating thought, because if we can understand the patterns of the past, we might just unlock a much clearer view of the challenges and choices that we all face today.
So, our framework for this is what we're calling the British arc. It's really just a way to see centuries of history as one single story. A nation's rise to these incredible heights, its time at the very top, and then its long, complicated search for a new purpose in a world that has completely changed.
Every arc has a beginning, and for Britain, the climb to the top wasn't some kind of accident. It was a steep, very deliberate process built on political union, industrial might, and of course, military supremacy.
What's really fascinating here is just the sheer speed of it all. In just a little over a century, all the pieces just snapped into place. You had the political unity from the Acts of Union, you had the economic engine of the Industrial Revolution, and then you had two knockout victories at Trafalgar and Waterloo that secured dominance on sea and on land. This was the launchpad.
And the result of that launchpad? Total dominance. By the mid-19th century, the Royal Navy was so powerful it operated on what was called a two-power standard. Get this, that means it was larger than the next two largest navies combined. Now, this wasn't just for show, it was a very deliberate policy to control the world's oceans, which were the highways of trade and empire.
And all that dominance led straight to the second phase of our arc, the apex. This was the Victorian era, the absolute height of imperial power, defined by that famous phrase that the sun never set on the British Empire.
And to put that in perspective, at its peak around 1920, the British Empire ruled over a quarter of the world's population. Just think about that for a second. 1 in every 4 people on the planet lived under British rule. The scale is just staggering.
This influence was literally all over the globe. But it wasn't just a collection of territories, it was a network. You had the huge dominions of Canada and Australia, the economic powerhouse of India, the famous jewel in the crown, and a whole web of strategic ports and colonies from Africa to the Caribbean, all connected and all controlled by British trade and naval power.
You know, this quote from the imperialist Cecil Rhodes, it just perfectly captures the mindset of that era. There was this immense, unshakable confidence, a belief that Britain wasn't just powerful, but that its power was actually a force for good in the world, a kind of destiny that had to be fulfilled.
But no empire lasts forever. The descent from that peak wasn't a sudden crash, but more of a long, slow unwinding. And it was accelerated by 2 absolutely devastating world wars that would completely redraw the map of global power.
I mean, this slide really captures the whiplash. Before the wars, Britain was the world's banker. After the wars, it was deeply in debt to the United States. Its once unrivaled empire was cracking under the pressure of independence movements, and 2 brand new superpowers, the USA and the USSR, were rising up to take its place. The world had changed, and Britain's role had changed right along with it.
This transformation really happened in stages. First, it was just pure economic exhaustion. Then you had this unstoppable wave of nationalism across the colonies. But the 1956 Suez Crisis, that was the real breaking point. It was a public humiliation that proved Britain could no longer act like a superpower without America's permission. This forced a huge identity crisis, a psychological shift from global leader to a mid-sized power searching for a new place, which is what led it to strategically pivot towards Europe.
So, that brings us to today. After tracing this incredible arc, what can it possibly teach us about the challenges and choices Britain is facing right now, here in the 21st century?
Well, this is where the past speaks directly to the present. That industrial innovation that built the empire, it rhymes with today's challenge of forging a new economic model after Brexit. That old global trade network, it's echoed in the urgent need to create brand new trade deals. Even the whole idea of a single British identity is being tested as the UK navigates its future as a union of 4 very distinct nations. The core questions of power, trade, and identity, they haven't gone away. They've just taken on a new form.
So, the takeaway is really this. The circumstances today might look different, but the fundamental questions are still the same. How does Britain power its economy? What is its role in the world? And what does it really mean to be British? The arc of the past is the lens through which we can best understand the choices of the present.
Which leads us with one final and I think fascinating question. Having come down from that imperial peak and having recently pivoted away from its European chapter, what does the next British arc even look like?